start Swahili because it's leo ni siku ambayo imetengwa kwa wale ambao wanang'ang'ania kiti cha kuwa rais wa chama cha mawakili ama Law Society of Kenya kuchukua makaratasi yao na kuweza kuyakabidhi wale ambao watashughulikia kuyadadisi na kuwapa shahada ya kuingia kwenye ulingo wa kumenyana. Vile taifa mnajua wako watano wanaong'ang'ania kiti cha urais. Kuna wale wanne ambao maisha yao yote wao wamekuwa katika uongozi wa Law Society of Kenya. Wamekuwa naibu wa rais, wamekuwa treasurer, wamekuwa council member, lakini leo katika taifa la Kenya kumenyesha mvua. Makaratasi waliochukua jana hakukuwa na mvua. Leo kumenyesha mvua, ndio maana nimevaa kabuti, sababu ishara ya kuonyesha baraka ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Na mimi na wale mawakili tuko hapa tumeamua kumdokeza ule mgombea mpya ambaye hajawahi ng'ang'ania kiti chochote cha LSK, hajawahi kuwa council member, hajakuwa rais wa LSK, kwa sababu wale waliokuwa pale wote wamefeli. Kwa hivyo tunamleta Peter Wanyama ambaye tuna imani kwamba ataweza kuleta mabadiliko mapya katika jinsi LSK inavyoendeleshwa. Kwa hivyo mwendo wa saa 8:30 tutakuwa pale kwenye ofisi ya Law Society of Kenya, ofisi ambayo kidogo it is condemned, sababu ile ofisi ukiangalia ni aibu tupu kama sisi mawakili ambao tukienda pale tunaonekana kama tumeenda kwenye slum. Basi tumemwambia Peter atakapopata kile kiti aweze kurudisha hadhi ya chama cha mawakili, aweze kurudisha ofisi ziweze kuonekana kama ni ofisi ambazo zinahudumia Wakenya wote, na aweze kuangalia maslahi ya mawakili 21,000 ambao wako kwenye ile orodha ya Law Society of Kenya. Kwa hivyo kuachia hapo, nitamwachia ndugu yangu ule ambaye anajua kuongea Kizungu aweze kusema mawili Okachi kabla rais mtarajiwa hajatoa hotuba yake. Okachi.
Thank you so much, my senior. Like my senior has said, today is a day that is very significant, not only to lawyers in this country, but to everyone, every citizen of this country. The reason we say so is because the person who occupies the seat of the president of the Law Society of Kenya plays a major role in what happens in this country and in terms of the administration of the rule of law in this entire country. So it is not only about lawyers alone. We are actually going to vote as we also listen to the voices of the Wananchi. In our view, and most lawyers have already made this decision, that this is the day that when you read the Bible, you will know the role of Peter. It is very significant in the Bible. It is a role that we need at this significant time in terms of our country, the politics of our country, and the challenges of our country. And that is why we are not ashamed. We are very, very happy. We are actually very proud to say that our brother here is the best person to occupy that seat at this particular juncture, and based on the challenges that actually face the country at this time. Today is a significant day because we are endorsing him, and he's actually taking his papers pursuant to this endorsement. So this is the beginning of a journey that will transform the Law Society, will transform the legal practice in this particular country, and will also transform the politics that affect this country and affect the administration of justice. So today we are proud, and we want to join all of you, and we want to join all Kenyans in considering, and we will mark and remember that this journey started today. Once he wins, we have told him that that is the beginning of a journey. He has made promises. We will want people to actually look at his promises his track record, which is, you cannot compare. And it's something we are not ashamed to say. You cannot compare. He's someone with a proper track record. He's someone who has volunteered to do cases which have brought differences in this particular country, cases that speak for themselves. He's someone who has said he can go an extra mile to assist lawyers and colleagues, especially young lawyers, in terms of the issue of this profession, from his own heart. So he's not someone who we are bringing to pretend for purposes of elections. He's someone who is tried, who is tested, and we are sure by the end of his term, we will stand here again and say he did us proud. Thank you so much.
Let the president, almost being elected, give his speech and critically answer to questions that are in your manifesto and what you stand for.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Members of the press, fellow Kenyans, my name is Peter Wanyama. I'm an advocate of the High Court with 16 years experience in legal practice. And in the afternoon today, we will be presenting, my team and I will be presenting papers for my nomination for the Law Society of Kenya president. The elections will start, will be conducted next month. And our candidature is based on uplifting Kenyans. Remember that law plays a central role to our society. Without a functioning rule of law system, then we have a problem. So today morning, I want to say that when we talk about the leadership of the Law Society of Kenya, we will change the way governance is handled in this country. We will be sending a message to the president, to start with, the president of the Republic of Kenya, that when Uhuru Kenyatta gave you that sword to run this country, it was symbolic. The sword was for you as President Ruto to protect the rule of law, to be the custodian of the sovereignty of Kenyans, and to ensure that you do what it takes as the commander-in-chief to uplift the concerns which Kenyans have raised. As we speak, we are standing at a moment in history where a majority of Kenyans are actually really suffering. Kenyans cannot afford basic commodities. Kenyans cannot afford the high cost of living. So we have a problem. Majority of Kenyans are actually suffering. It's only maybe a few Kenyans, the elite members of parliament, and others, the elite who are enjoying, but majority, 95% of Kenyans are suffering. So it is in this environment the Law Society of Kenya will stand and play an important role. What is the role of the Law Society of Kenya, which I'll be leading? The role of the Law Society of Kenya will be to stand for the people. So the message to the president is that the Law Society of Kenya will be reminding you, it will remind you to follow the rule of law. The Law Society of Kenya under my watch will ensure that you as president, you live up to the oath of office which you took, to ensure that Kenyans don't suffer. Kenyans elected you and they don't want to suffer. So there are certain issues that Law Society of Kenya will prioritize during our tenure, and we want the president to note this. One is on the question of rule of law. Rule of law and independence of the judiciary are principles which we will definitely safeguard. So we want to tell the president that if he has any concerns to raise with respect to the judiciary, the proper pathway is to raise them through the appropriate channels. Sitting and undermining the judiciary from his office as president greatly undermines the rule of law, and that is one of the issues that we will stand against. So that is absolutely important we mention that. Secondly, is that if the president wants to implement his manifesto, the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, our message to him will be to follow the rule of law. We know that he's going to push through proposals with respect to housing. We know that he's going to push proposals, other proposals which he has put in his manifesto. The problem is that some of these proposals are not good with Kenyans. So we urge that the president and parliament, the two speakers of the House, we don't want them to push laws which undermine the concerns of Kenyans, laws which lead to increased taxation. They need to find a way of raising revenue without taxing Kenyans in a manner which is painful. Right now, if you're an employee and you have a pay slip, the government is coming in through all manner of legislations to take more than 50% of the income that we take home. So what will remain for us, employees who have pay slips, if Parliament proceeds to enact some of these laws which are unconstitutional? So as Law Society of Kenya President, we will be able to ensure that we take on the executive on the question of bad laws. And on this, we are sending a message to the two speakers, please, and parliamentarians. We know that members of parliament, sometimes you don't work for the concerns of the interests of Kenyans, but we urge you not to pass laws which undermine the sovereignty of Kenyans. But as Law Society of Kenya, just in case you don't listen to that advice, we will be there to ensure through strategic litigation, which I will be leading myself as Law Society of Kenya President, to ensure that any laws which challenge the concerns and aspirations of Kenyans, any laws which bring burdensome issues to Kenyans, corruption in the land sector. Again, Law Society of Kenya will engage PS Korir. PS Korir has been undermining reforms in the land sector, and our message is that under my tenure, we will not allow a principal secretary in the Ministry of Lands to sabotage reforms which were laid down in the previous order. As we speak, 40% of conveyancing business at the Ministry of Land is done by brokers. Lawyers are facing a challenge. Kenyans are suffering at the hands of brokers who take money from members of the public unsuspectedly. You saw what happens in Mavoko, where brokers take over the sector, and yet the Ministry of Lands officials are not doing anything to protect the sector. So under my tenure, we want to send a message that we are going to engage robustly with the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Lands and together with the Cabinet Secretary. And our message to them is that you need to ensure that Law Society of Kenya, please wake up. Wake up, because we are not coming in to take coffee with you. We want reforms in the land sector that benefit Kenyans. So that's message number 2. Message number 3, again, is to the membership of the Law Society of Kenya. Law Society of Kenya is facing unprecedented challenges. We're at a stage of the implementation of the Constitution where we need serious and strategic leadership at the Law Society of Kenya. We need a leadership that engages the executive in terms of... Law Society of Kenya does not even have statistics on lawyers who are unemployed. And we definitely then have a problem. Because if we don't have leadership that engages in a structural perspective with the executive to push for the penetration of areas of legal practice, then we'll definitely have a problem, a big, big problem. So we are saying that it's only our campaign that has strategic concerns to uplift the concerns, the plights of the lawyers, all levels. The junior lawyers who are unemployed. We will work on structural reforms to ensure that we deepen the legal market. We must plant those seeds for reforms now to ensure that we deepen the market so that the lawyers who are coming into the profession find a market which they can be able to survive. We will also work on in the spirit of decentralization. Decentralization is where we encourage legal services to be based at the county level for the legal practitioner. The legal practitioners need to know that Law Society of Kenya will work closely with businesses and other institutions at the county level to open up the legal market there. We want lawyers to work in Samburu. We want lawyers to work in Mandera. We want lawyers to work in Garissa. We want lawyers to go to Kabarnet. We want lawyers to go to Baringo, where the legal services are needed by the Kenyans. The other major strategic objective in our campaign with respect to LSK elections is branch support. We will be able to ensure that we support our branches. As we speak, Law Society of Kenya collects more than 1 billion shillings every year. 1 billion shillings. We've done our numbers. But some of this money is lost in Nairobi. The money is not decentralized. So you go to the chapters at the LSK. If you go to Chuka chapter, for example, Chuka LSK, they don't receive a single shilling from the Law Society of Kenya. The 1 billion shillings which we collect. You go to Mombasa, one of the oldest Law Society of Kenya branch in this country. They don't even have an office motor vehicle. So branch support is going to be very core to in our campaign. We'll ensure that that 1 billion shillings which Law Society of Kenya collects annually is used for the welfare of members. It must be sent at the branch level. So we will be consequential, we will be strategic, we will be pushing, we will be serious, and we will make groundbreaking proposals when it comes to branch support. We will not be the shame of the society anymore. We won't accept to be less than, for example, NAT. Have you seen NAT? Kenya National Union of Teachers. Every chapter has a motor vehicle. Can you imagine? NAT teachers. You go to all the NAT branches in the country, they have motor vehicles. But we, the lawyers, the Law Society of Kenya, leading lawyers with branches that don't even have a small motor vehicle. So that is going to be very, very significant in our campaign, and we are going to be pushing about it to assist the government, to ensure that the government is continuously put to toe in whatever sectors of the economy where they are pushing through laws which are unconstitutional. So myself, as Peter Wanyama, I've been in this sector for more than 16 years, understand the challenges which Law Society of Kenya members face. I'm a practitioner. We are coming on board with these fresh and strategic ideas to ensure that we change the Law Society of Kenya forever. We want a Law Society of Kenya which is respected by the executive, a Law Society of Kenya which is respected by Parliament, a Law Society of Kenya whose voice is listened to by every stakeholder. We need to reclaim the prestige and the institutional profile of the Law Society of Kenya. And that is our mandate, which we are asking members to give it to us next month, when we'll be submitting ourselves in an election to elect new Law Society of Kenya president. And my prayer, my request is that members of the Law Society of Kenya will elect me as their president. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. So ningependa kusema tu kwa Kiswahili. Mimi ni kwa majina naitwa Peter Wanyama. Mimi ni wakili, nimekuwa nikifanya kazi ya kisheria kwa miaka 16 kwa sasa, na leo saa 8 tutaenda huko LSK Gitanga Road nikiwakilisha makaratasi yangu kwa nia kiti cha urais wa LSK. Mwezi ujao tutakuwa na elections, tutakuwa na uchaguzi wa rais wa LSK, na mimi nitakuwa nawania kiti cha urais wa LSK. Na kuna zile utaratibu tumeweka kwa manifesto yetu kuhakikisha ya kwamba Law Society of Kenya, chama cha mawakili, ni chama ambacho wananchi wanajivunia nayo ukiangalia mambo ya kikatiba. Na ningependa kusema ya kwamba mimi kama nikichaguliwa rais wa chama cha mawakili, tutahakikisha ya kwamba rais wa Kenya ambaye ni William Ruto anafuata katiba ya Kenya. Tutakuwa tunatetea uhuru wa mahakama. Tutaelezea rais ya kwamba zile mipango, zile utaratibu ambao wameweka kama chama cha Kenya Kwanza ni vizuri andika sheria, wakipeleka hizo utaratibu kwa bunge, ni vizuri wafuate katiba, ile katiba ambayo yeye kama rais wa Kenya alipewa mamlaka na Uhuru Kenyatta. Na tungependa kusema ya kwamba kama ingekuwa hii sheria ya Kenya, hii sheria ambayo wananchi wa Kenya tunafuata, hata yeye kama rais angepewa mamlaka na Uhuru Kenyatta. So tungependa kusema ya kwamba wakati wa kura tunaomba mawakili wajitokeze kwa wingi kupigia sisi kura, kwa sababu sisi kama mawakili tunaumia sana. Kuna vitu mingi ambazo tunataka kuhakikisha ambao tumepea upeo wakati tunawania hii kiti cha urais. So asanteni sana. Mungu awabariki. Asante. So kama kuna maswali we can answer.
Thank you very much. Those ones who are sending fanya kazi yenu. The rest will